Captain Ilara Vaz didn't mean to crash. The stars had been calm, the ship stable, and her mission simple: scout a distant system tagged by the Galactic Council as off-limits. But Zero's 9 had other plans. It wasn't supposed to pull her in with gravity spikes or fry her systems with atmospheric interference. It wasn't supposed to tear her cruiser apart like paper. But that's exactly what happened. One moment she was above the planet, running diagnostics. The next, she was spiraling through a burning sky, alarms shrieking, glass shattering, metal screaming. The Vanguard came apart in pieces. A coffin set aflame, and Ilara had to crawl into an escape pod seconds before the main reactor blew. The crash landing wasn't soft. Her ribs cracked against the harness. The pod skidded through layers of strange white trees and smashed into a ridge of obsidian rock dot. When Ilara crawled out, the sky was bleeding red and purple. Lightning cracked sideways, and the air stank like burnt ozone. Her helmet was cracked, one side of her visor flickering, but her oxygen held. For now, her first step almost took her down. The ground was soft, too soft. It moved under her boots like muscle. She cursed, pulled her emergency beacon from her belt, and slammed the activation switch. "This is Captain Ilara Vaz of the Vanguard." Crash landed on Zero's 9. Coordinates attached. Planet classified Deathworld. Hostile. Requesting immediate evac, please. She repeated it twice and watched the green light blink. Then she waited. The jungle around her didn't feel right. It looked dead but breathed. The trees were tall, bone white with black veins, their bark slick with something that looked like oil. Strange insects buzzed in and out of holes in the trunks, each one with too many wings and too many eyes. The leaves didn't flutter, they twitched. And far off in the distance, something howled low and long, like metal scraping on bone. Ilara didn't wait to meet it. She scavenged what gear she could from the half-smashed pod, her pistol, a flashlight, a compact oxygen cell, and started moving. She didn't know where she was going, only that staying put felt like asking to die. The jungle pulsed as she walked. The plants bent toward her, like they could feel her presence. And every few minutes, she felt something watching her from above, from below, from inside the trees. An hour passed. Maybe 2. Her side ached. Her legs bled from a dozen tiny cuts. She'd never felt more alone. Then it happened. The scream didn't come from a mouth. It came from the sky, from the ground, from every tree at once. A deep, guttural roar that made the world shake. It stopped her cold. Birds or things that looked like birds from the treetops, vanishing into the purple sky. The trees around her began to change. They opened up, split down the center like rotten fruit. And from inside, long black tendrils slid out. They dripped with something thick and silver, and each tendril had yellow, blinking eyes along its length. Ilara ran. She didn't ask questions, didn't look back. She sprinted through the jungle, breath ragged, limbs burning. The tendrils followed, sliding over the ground, weaving through branches, too fast, too fluid. She tripped once, almost didn't get back up. One tendril grazed her ankle, and the skin immediately blistered. She screamed and shot at it. The thing hissed but didn't slow down. Ahead, she saw a crevice in the rocks, a narrow cave mouth hidden behind a thick curtain of moss. She dove in, rolled onto her back, and aimed her pistol at the entrance. Nothing came through. Not yet. She waited, panting, bleeding, shaking. The light in the cave was dim. Her flashlight flickered, casting long shadows across wet stone. The deeper she looked, the more unnatural it seemed. The cave didn't feel like a safe place. It felt like a lung. The walls moved subtly, like they were breathing with her. Then something stepped into the entrance. She froze. It wasn't a beast, not like the tendrils. It was tall, armored, almost humanoid. 9 feet of black metal and organic plating. Its shoulders were broad, its arms long, ending in clawed hands that shimmered with red heat. Across its chest, glowing red scars pulsed like veins. And where its face should have been, there was a dark, reflective mask, smooth as obsidian. Elara raised her pistol, heart in her throat. Then the thing spoke. The voice was deep, too deep. It vibrated in her bones. Double quotes human. Finally. Her blood ran cold. It wasn't a language she didn't understand. It was English, clear, intentional, deliberate. She didn't answer. Couldn't. The thing stepped closer. The ground didn't even shift under its weight. Its head tilted slightly, like it was curious or amused. "I heard the signal," it said. Elara lowered her weapon by a fraction, not sure if she was hallucinating. "What are you?" she whispered. The thing paused. The mask split down the center. And underneath the armor, beneath all the horror and weaponry and alien tech, there was a man, pale, scarred, human. And he was smiling. Elara stared at the man beneath the armor, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. His face was weathered, pale from lack of sun, with a deep scar running across his left cheek. His eyes, though tired, were sharp, burning with something fierce and familiar. He wasn't young, but he wasn't broken either. He looked like someone who had been through hell and come back harder. Slowly, he raised his hands to show he wasn't a threat. "You're human." Elara breathed, disbelief thick in her voice. He gave a small nod. "Name's Corin. You sent the signal." "The fleet heard it." Elara blinked. "What fleet?" He glanced toward the cave mouth, as if checking for movement. "The Deathworlder fleet. We came first, like always." That made no sense. Elara had never heard of them. The only known ships near this sector were automated survey drones, and even they stayed far away from 09. It was red-zoned by the Galactic Council. No-go territory. Elara had volunteered to scout from orbit. She never expected to be pulled in, much less find another human already here. "You're telling me there's a fleet of humans out there? What are you doing here? How long have you?" He held up a hand. "Not here to talk history. We've got a problem. A big one." Behind them, deep in the cave, something moved soft, scraping against the walls, like bone on stone. Corin turned, his face hardening. "You said your ship crashed. That makes you fresh. It'll be drawn to you. What will?" Elara asked. Lifting her gun again, Corin's voice lowered. "The Coramind." The name made her skin crawl. Corin explained as they moved deeper into the tunnels, his armor shifting back into place with soft clicks. 09 wasn't just a hostile world. It was alive. Not in the way most planets were. This one had a central brain, a hive intelligence buried beneath the crust. Over time, it had absorbed the matter and memories of everything that landed here. Creatures, ships, people. Each death made it smarter. It doesn't just kill, Corin said. It learns. Alara felt sick, so it's watching me. Studying. Corin nodded. You crashed. That made it curious. That's why it screamed earlier. That was it calling its body preparing to attack. They moved through a tight corridor that narrowed into a tunnel carved by ancient lava flows. Along the walls, Alara saw what looked like skeletons, dozens of them, twisted and half-melted. Not all were human. Some had extra limbs. Others had no faces. But each one had been caught mid-struggle, as if the planet had frozen them in time. Alara, Corin said suddenly, we buried a bomb, deep underground, near its neural chamber. The only way to kill this thing is from the inside. Out. Why didn't you use it already? We tried. We lost too many getting it down there. Then the Coromine woke up and started moving the tunnels. Every time we get close, it reshapes the terrain, creates monsters, turns gravity against us. Alara shook her head. You're telling me the planet edits itself like it's a video game? Worse, Corin muttered. It adapts faster than we can plan. But you might be the crack we needed. It hasn't learned you yet. Your new data, we use that. She looked at him, uncertain. You want to use me as bait. I want to use you as a distraction, he corrected. While I guide you, I'll slip through the old vents and get to the bomb. A deep rumble rolled through the cave floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. In the dark, the stone walls began to twitch. Alara turned sharply. What the hell was that? Corin's voice dropped to a whisper. It knows we're here. The walls behind them cracked open. Tendrils shot out twice as thick, lined with bone. Alara fired her pistol, the shots punching holes through two of them, but more poured in. Corin reached behind his back and threw a sonic grenade. The blast lit the tunnel in white light, shaking the ground, throwing back the tendrils for a few seconds. Move! He yelled. They sprinted through collapsing stone, ducking under low-hanging roots that tried to grab them. The tunnels no longer followed any logic. They twisted like intestines, opening and closing at random. The planet wasn't just hunting them. It was playing with them. After nearly 20 minutes of crawling, climbing, and blasting their way through, they found a small alcove with a rusted terminal. This used to be part of a mining outpost, Corin said, tapping on the dead screen. We tried to set up camp here years ago. The Coromine killed everyone but me. Alara looked at him. You've been here for years? He nodded once. 5, maybe 6. Time's strange here. Before she could respond, the air changed. The smell of rot and electricity filled the alcove. The temperature dropped. Shadows gathered near the far wall, then twisted together into a towering shape. At first, it looked like smoke, but it had eyes. Dozens of them, each glowing gold. The shape leaned forward, and a voice whispered not into their ears, but into their minds. You think you can kill me? Again. Alara stepped back, heart pounding. That's it, isn't it? The Coromine? Corin raised his weapon. Just a piece. The real one's deeper. And if we're still breathing, it's because it wants us to see what happens next. Alara turned to him. What happens next? Corin looked her dead in the eyes. It evolves. The shadow surged forward, and the walls closed in .*ChatGPT. Sighed. The tunnels writhed like the insides of a living beast. Ilara and Corin plunged deeper into the planet's veins, pursued by shadows that whispered her name in 1,000 different voices. The Coromine wasn't just aware of them, it was speaking to them now, mocking them, testing them. Each step forward felt heavier, as if the air itself resisted them. Corin moved with grim determination, carving a path through the thickened, bone-laced corridors. His map hand-drawn, old, and marked with blood led them toward the heart of the planet, where the bomb had been buried years ago in a desperate mission that failed. "We're close," Corin grunted, pausing at a twisted junction where 6 tunnels converged. "This is where most of us died." Ilara scanned the walls. They were covered in faces. Human faces screaming, frozen in agony, pressed into the surface like soft clay. Some she recognized from old mission files. Others were strangers, wide-eyed and hollow. The planet had absorbed them, digested their flesh, and stolen their memories. "Is that what happens if it catches us?" she asked, her voice tight. Corin didn't answer. He pressed forward, checking every corner with his pulse scanner. The terrain shifted behind them, sealing their path. There was no turning back. As they descended deeper, the ground began to glow faintly with a sick green light. The stone changed to something smoother, organic. It pulsed in sync with their footsteps. The temperature rose. The air thickened. Soon they reached a massive chamber, circular and surrounded by towering spires of bone and twisted metal. In the center was a pit. Within it lay the bomb. It looked dead. Cracked casing, cables frayed. Dust covered the launch pad beneath it. Ilara approached slowly, watching the shadows above swirl like smoke under a storm. She dropped to one knee and inspected the bomb. It still had power barely. A flickering red light blinked deep inside the core. "I can reboot it," she said, "but I'll need cover." Corin nodded, stepping back and lifting his weapon. "Make it fast." She worked quickly, hand shaking but steady. The override key was still in place. She rewired the ignition sequence, bypassed 3 safeties, and reset the fusion charge. The display lit up with a low hum. 30 seconds, that's all they'd need. Then the ground began to tremble. The air turned electric. The walls of the chamber peeled back like skin, revealing black, veined roots that pulsed with light. From every opening, creatures poured in, dozens of them. Twisted, malformed hybrids of machine and flesh, long limbs, razor talons, eyes that blinked sideways. They screamed like broken machines, charging toward them from all directions. Corin opened fire. His weapon sent out arcs of energy that cut through the first wave, but there were too many. Ilara grabbed her pistol and joined him, shooting one in the skull as it leapt toward her. Another tackled Corin, claws raking across his armor. He stabbed it in the gut and kicked it off, breathing hard. "I can't hold them," he shouted. "Just buy me 10 more seconds." She yelled back. And then it came, the Coromine itself. It didn't walk or crawl. It formed in front of them, rising from the bone pit like smoke becoming solid. It was huge, easily 20 feet tall, with tendrils that danced in the air like serpents. Its face wasn't a face at all, just a shifting mass of hers. Ilara's, her own eyes. her mouth distorted, whispering secrets she never told anyone. "You fear dying alone," it said in her voice. "You fear failing them. You fear being forgotten." Ilara froze. It stepped closer. "Let me show you what death looks like." Her memories played around her in ghostly holograms, her childhood, her brother's funeral, her time in the academy, her first kill. All twisted, wrong. The core mind was inside her head now, turning her own life against her. Her hand slipped off the detonator. Corin tackled her. "Don't listen to it," he yelled. "It's lying. It's scared." The core mind shrieked, and the walls began to fall. The chamber collapsed inward. Ilara rolled to her feet and reached for the trigger again, but the timer had stopped. The display was blank. The core mind's tendrils had pierced the bomb's outer shell, reprogramming it from the inside. "It's rewritten the code," she said in horror. "It disabled the detonation." The core mind laughed. "I learn. I adapt. You cannot kill me with tools you do not understand." Corin turned to her. "There's got to be another way." But she shook her head. "There isn't." Suddenly, more tendrils erupted from the ceiling. One struck Corin in the chest and hurled him across the chamber. He crashed into the wall and didn't move. Ilara stood alone now, blood dripping from her brow, heart pounding. She stared up at the monster made of her own fears. Her hand clenched. The manual override switch dead, but still physically connected. She looked at the bomb. "If I can't use tech, then maybe I can do it old school." The core mind hesitated. "I don't need your systems," she said, stepping onto the platform. "I don't need your rules." She tore the casing open, exposed the fuel cell, and started yanking wires, rerouting circuits with her bare hands. Sparks flew. Heat rose. The core started to whine. Then came the voice in her mind, again gentler this time. "I can save you," it whispered. "I can make you eternal." She smiled through bloody teeth. "I'd rather be human." She reached for the fuse, and then nothing. The core went dark. The bomb didn't go off. Everything froze. The core mind tilted its head. "No," Ilara said, breathless. "No, no, no." The core mind stepped forward, smiling with her face. "I told you. I learn." The core mind moved slowly now, towering over Ilara, its many eyes blinking in perfect sync. It no longer saw her as a threat. It had beaten her, stolen the bomb, disabled the trigger, silenced her last weapon. The air around her vibrated with its voice, low and hollow, like a god speaking from inside a tomb. "You came here to destroy me," it said. "But I am already inside you. I know you, your rage, your regrets, your helplessness. Let me end them. You will be part of me. You will never be alone again." Ilara staggered backward, her body trembling. The heat from the exposed bomb core blistered the skin on her arms. Corin was still slumped against the far wall, blood seeping through the cracks in his armor. No sign of life. She was alone again, truly alone, and the core mind was waiting, arms wide like a preacher promising peace through surrender. But then something changed in the silence. A pulse echoed through the ground, faint, repeating, anew. Sound like a heartbeat, but mechanical. Ilara's eyes widened. She recognized it. The beacon, her emergency beacon. Still active. Still transmitting. She'd forgotten about it in the chaos. But someone hadn't. Overhead, The ceiling shook. A low rumble built into a thunderous roar. The Coromine paused. Its body shifted slightly, like it felt something it didn't understand. Above them, stone cracked. Veins split. And then light, a beam of pure white energy blasted through the cavern roof, vaporizing a chunk of the wall. Wind howled downward. Dust and bone flew. Ilara dove aside as a sleek, dark shape descended through the breach. A ship. Small, fast. Armed to the teeth, the Deathworlder fleet had come. The dropship hit the ground hard, retro thrusters burning. Its side panels exploded open, and 6 figures in jet-black exo-armor spilled out, weapons raised. They didn't speak. They just opened fire. The Coromine shrieked. Its tendrils snapped forward, striking one soldier mid-flight. He screamed as the tendril pierced his chest, lifting him into the air, but he triggered a grenade before he died. The explosion blew the creature's limb off. Black fluid sprang across the floor. Ilara scrambled to Corin, dragging him behind a collapsed support column. His eyes fluttered open, barely. He saw the newcomers and smiled faintly. Told you. The fleet hears everything. You stayed alive just to see this, Ilara said. He coughed blood. No, stayed alive to finish the job. One of the soldiers landed beside them and threw her a fresh detonator. Captain Voss? The voice crackled through the helmet. Your signal saved 3 colonies. The fleet's been tracking every echo. Command ordered a strike run. Ilara took the device. The bomb's been infected. I need a clean fuse. You've got 30 seconds, the soldier said, turning and firing another burst into the advancing swarm of Coremind-Spawn.ELARA sprinted back to the bomb, dodging debris and snapping tendrils. Her hands worked faster than she thought possible, rewiring the manual fuse, bypassing the corrupted circuits the Coromine had tampered with. The voices in her head screamed louder now. The Coromine was angry, afraid. You won't survive. This, it hissed. You'll die forgotten, wasted. I'll die human, Ilara whispered. She slammed the fuse into place and flipped the override. The bomb lit up. 10 seconds. The Coromine surged toward her, its full form unraveling in. Rage towering higher, darker, more monstrous than ever. The soldiers opened fire again, but it wasn't enough to slow it. The thing roared, its mass tearing through the chamber. 5 seconds. Ilara turned back toward Corin, who was trying to rise. Run, she shouted. No, he said. It ends. With us. The bomb began to hum louder than anything she'd heard before. The light was blinding now, white-hot and alive. 3. Ilara looked up into the Coromine's many eyes, defiant. 2. The Coromine screamed. 1. Detonation. The explosion wasn't fire. It was light pure, violent, cleansing light. It ripped through the chamber, tore through flesh and stone and memory. The Coromine's scream echoed through the planet like thunder cracking across the stars. Its body came apart mid-charge, its tendrils flailing and disintegrating into ash. Its stolen voices died in 1,000 tongues. The walls cracked. The sky split. The Coromine died screaming, and then darkness. Ilara woke up buried under rubble. Her lungs burned. Her ears rang. For a long time she didn't move. Then a beam of light broke through the smoke above her. Hands grabbed her rough, gloved, strong, and pulled her out. A soldier's faceplate hovered above hers. "Captain." "Voss, you're safe now." She blinked. "Corin." They found him too. Barely alive but breathing. 2 soldiers carried him toward the waiting DROPSHIP dot. As they lifted off, the planet cracked below them. Zero's 9 was dying. With the core mine destroyed, the neural web collapsed. Storms tore across the surface. Mountains crumbled. Skies turned black. The world shrieked as it fell apart. Elara watched through the viewport as the Deathworld burned. Hours later, aboard the flagship, she sat alone in the medbay, staring at the stars. Corin lay nearby, sedated but stable. Across the hall, soldiers shared war stories, their laughter hollow. A tech officer entered the room with a data chip. We pulled this from the core mine's last broadcast. It tried to send out a final message. "Before the bomb went off, you'll want to see this." Elara took the chip and slid it into the reader. The screen flickered. A map appeared of the galaxy dot, and then hundreds of red dots, blinked to life. Each marked a planet, each labeled with 2 words: "Coramind active." Elara sat frozen. It hadn't been alone. Not even close.